another fellow on the adventure. Another friend of a friend of mine who's, got plenty of time to live life, I guess. Not much time to enjoy it, probably. It's as busy as he seems. But we have actor and entrepreneur Eric Morris. How's it going, man? Yeah, that was a little awkward this morning. So my brain's I'm only on the third cup of coffee. It's long night last night, editing and having a good time. I mean, man, it's the busy thing. It's crazy, so many people are trapped at home, and then there's some of us who just can't seem to find it time to even sleep. But that's fine. Everything is fine. I mean, apps are good. That gets me through the day. But what
naps would take you a long ways, man, for sure.
Man, even a 15-minute just shutting your eyes, going, just everybody shut up, But why don't you go ahead and give everybody a little brief synopsis of where you're from, what you do, kind of why you do it, that whole bit.
Okay, well, I'm Eric James Morris. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. I'm actually was born in this city. I'm one of the few natives here lately. Everybody I meet seems to be from somewhere else. But I'm a business owner. I've been an entrepreneur for a long time. I'm also an actor, and I'm a musician. I play guitar and I sing, and I sound better the more people drink.
Well, that's pretty good because a lot of people drink a lot. I even tend to be one of those people sometimes. Man, Atlanta's nice. What part of Atlanta are you in?
I live in a little area called East Cobb. It's Marietta, Georgia.
Yeah. So that's like the northeast or no northwest corner, right? Of the Atlanta area.
West, but I live on the east side of that Marietta, which is kind of a city called Sandy Springs. It's not too far from downtown, maybe 20 minutes.
20 minutes. Yeah, that's not bad. Man, I love Atlanta. I've been there quite a few times. It's fun. There's just no other way to say it. It's fun, man. You go to a mall, it's just everything's popping. It's Atlanta, man. Atlanta is awesome.
Yeah.
And the only thing I don't like about Atlanta is the airport and the bus station.
Well, yeah, they get kind of busy.
It ain't the busy part, man. It's the crazy fuckers running around being crazy fuckers, man.
We got plenty of those.
Oh boy, we tried to stay downtown one time just so we were close to the the heart of the city and the vibe and everything. Because I traveled the country for about 10 years for work, selling stuff door to door, and we went to Atlanta quite a bit. And one time we got this bright idea to literally, it seemed like, I can't remember what the name of the hotel was. It was one of those the nice ones, like a Wyndham or something like that.
Okay.
We're like, that can't be bad in downtown Atlanta, that we should be fine. And when we pulled up, this very large security guard who was very armed, met us at the gate with the barbed wire on top and was like, "Hey, how's it going?" We're like, "Hi." I mean, none of us are judgmental people, but
this is
when you drive past the homeless center,
yes,
and everybody's on the street fucked up or fighting. We're all from those areas originally. We know what's up. We know that's not that armed security guard is carrying 2 weapons for a reason.
Oh yeah, man, it gets kind of sketchy downtown in some certain areas.
Oh boy, but man, other than that, man, Atlanta's a good time. I mean, even some of the places you're told not to go, I've never had really any problems. People are friendly. People are super friendly.
I love the city, dude. I've been all over, and I really like Atlanta. It's not just because I'm from here, but it's like you said, it's a cool city. It's big, but it doesn't feel too big like New York or something. Which I like New York. It's a cool city too. But Atlanta's just a good mix, man. It's just kind of laid back, but there's a lot going on here. If I could take Atlanta and put it on the coast, man, it'd be like the perfect city, But so that's the only thing that's lacking is we have no water. We got a lake and a river. That's about it.
I mean, y'all ain't too far from Savannah. It's not like Savannah. Well, I know Savannah used to pop pretty hard. I don't know what it's like now. There's back in the day when I traveled, there was a club down in Savannah called the Warehouse that was on the water. That was pretty awesome.
It sounds like it might be pretty awesome. Anything called like the warehouse or something like that, it's going to be probably doesn't start getting good till about 1 a.m.
Sorry, kids. I had to know which part I had to cut out. Woo, man, I'm telling you, it's already been one of those days. So yeah, man, I would love to go back to Atlanta. Man, honestly, I would live down in Atlanta if it wasn't too damn far from the rest of my family. I just moved back to Ohio a little over a year ago to get back around the family, and
Yeah.
Columbus is cool. It's certainly not as laid back as Atlanta.
You're in
But
Columbus.
yeah, right outside of it. Yeah, I'm in one of the outside counties.
Okay.
I prefer the quiet life. I'm originally from West Virginia, so although I like being close to a big city, I just don't want to be in the middle of it. At least not while I still have kids.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Living like in a city doesn't seem like there's any point unless you can have barbecues in your backyard and have a bunch of people over and have a really good time. And
Yeah, man.
that
Well,
can get kind of wild with some kids, and you got the whole neighborhood over. But I just stay out in the country where it's quiet and peaceful. And
that's how it was when my sons were little. We lived out in the country. There's an area called Bremen, Georgia. It's west of Atlanta. It's a long ways out west, close to Alabama. Very country town. It worked out great for my sons when they were going through school, and it just was a good environment to raise the kids. I had a bunch of land. I had like 10 acres in the middle of a few hundred acres, so we were definitely country living. But I was never there. I was always driving to Atlanta to make money. So, but I did it for a long time, man. And then after that, we made a change a few years ago, and I bought this house where I'm at now, and which is been under construction since day one. We've been steady remodeling the house. It's just an old contemporary style, like a Brady Bunch kind of house, and
yeah.
I made a lot of changes. So we're excited, man. I love where we live now. It's a good area, but I would raise my kids where I'm at now. This is a good area, but it's so populated. There's so many things, in my opinion, when you have children, and I'm sure you do too, that there's things that can go wrong easily. Kids get involved with the wrong thing. At least seems to be out where I raised my children at, kind of like the neck of the woods that you seem to be from. Is it's a little different, man. It's you can kind of guide your kids in the more safe direction, give them a better chance at life.
I mean, I'll just say it how it is. It's easier, and I'm lazy, and it's. I would rather not have to deal with all that stuff. To be completely honest, I mean, it's
too.
I'm down for the fun, but I just don't want to. I don't know, man. That's the thing with getting older. You're just like, I don't really want to do anything, and then you find yourself doing stuff. It's fine, I like where I'm at. I'm 30 minutes away from Dave Chappelle. So I figure, hey, if it's good enough for him, it's good enough for me. I'm not going to complain.
It's
You love him too. And I'm smack in the middle of 3 different cities that I basically perform in mostly. So, it's not too bad. It works out for me. It works out. So that's the good part about life, man. You just got to figure out where your spot is and plant down there for a while and run with it. One thing, we definitely got to talk about, because you certainly brought it up, and I believe I've already mentioned it. You are a entrepreneur, which is awesome, because even though I, call myself a comedian, still an entrepreneur, it's still a business. We still have to work and network and do all that fun stuff. What exactly is it that you do, man?
Well, I own a business called Morris & Barrow. We do waterproofing and foundation repairs. That's pretty much it. Before that, I had a franchise that was a restoration type company. Did water damage, dry outs, fires, smoke damage, stuff like that. And that I started becoming an entrepreneur in 2009-ish timeframe. Before that, I had a real job, and I used to work building construction my whole life. I did high-rise construction mainly. Did a lot of tall buildings here in Atlanta. Just started off as a concrete guy, laborer, then I ran a crew, and then over the years I just got really good at what I did and worked my way up to a title. Used to do all the layout. It was called a field engineer, and something I was sharp at. So I've always been good with math, so I just fell into it really well. And I had a lot of kids that worked for me at the end that had college degrees, and the economy tanked, and I just felt like I had kind of reached there was nowhere else to go. I mean, the next step would have been a superintendent. I wasn't sure about that because my life really revolved around those job sites. And so I had an opportunity come up to get into a franchise, and I took it. And, I would have never walked away from such a secure job because I made good money for a job. I had a company truck, I had a big salary, bonuses, all that jazz. But I was married to those job sites, man. I was always there. Rarely took a vacation. So growing up with my kids, I mean, we maybe took them on a small vacation 2 or 3 times. That's it. I just didn't. I was always working. So, but to have the courage to walk away from that with a family and a mortgage and all that jazz, it's scary. Most people, it's hard to walk away from that kind of security when you think it's secure, at the time, but it's really not. I mean, when you're dependent on somebody else to give you a job, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. But for me and for other like-minded individuals, I find security in creating my own because I know that I can depend on myself more than I can depend on somebody else. So, so I got to the franchise, and it taught me how to be a business owner. And then the franchise model kind of sucked, to be honest with you. It didn't pay. Well, I was paying a lot of money to be a part of it, and it just was a rough racket. We were traveling. I was having to go out of town to make good money, chasing storms and stuff like that. It just kind of started sucking, man. And so I got out of that, and I started a company, what we do now, which is Morris & Barrow, which is waterproofing and foundation repairs. This in the construction environment, but it's more streamlined into just one thing. So it's easier to kind of stay focused on 1 or 2 services instead of like with restoration, you're like, you're doing all kind of stuff. So
yeah,
I like it, man. That's, it's tough. I work all the time, but I also can take time if I want to. I mean, it's not uncommon for me to say, screw it and go get on my bike and ride one morning with a group of guys by the river, man. I mean, whatever, man. But it's not uncommon for me either to be working on a Saturday or Sunday, So what do you do?
yeah, man. I mean, well, no, I hear you. I mean, that's kind of similar, pretty similar to what ended up, happening with me. It's just you get to the point where you're like, why am I doing this for somebody else? I've learned all this stuff over all these years, and no matter how hard I try, I get to this with the same spot, and it just flattens. You know what I mean?
That's right.
And, granted, I'm always the common denominator in that situation. If I know I'm doing what I got to do and there's no advance, what I may be the common denominator, but there seems to be a common attitude, I think a lot of it was my fault because I'm such a nice guy. But at the same time, it's like, man, fuck this. I'm gonna do my own thing. And I ain't making anywhere near as much money as I was. That's for damn sure. But I got Monopoly down here on the floor that I just got done playing with my daughter right before this, and I'm gonna go back to playing after I'm done. You know what I mean? And then take a nap around noon and wake up at 2 and go to some shit job I'm gonna work overnight. But I'm fucking happy. I'm doing what I want. I'm building my own name. Because I'm a fucking brand. My life's been fucking crazy. Like 90% of my comedy is something I'm directly associated to, and I have barely even touched any of it. So, but I get what you're saying, because I mean, why people who think on their own, which I understand why you're an entrepreneur, you're fucking crazy building skyscrapers and shit. Screw that, dude. I'm good being that high up in the air. I don't even like flying. Not That's for different reasons, but you know, that's still that height thing. I bungee jumped and I can't now, so now I'm terrified of heights because like I'm scared my neck will get broken or something. That's it, whatever. But anyway, so I get why you're an entrepreneur. I mean, you just when you have that independent mind frame, you can only take other people having control for so long before you just fucking snap. At least that's how it happened with me. I just snapped. I was like, no, I'm done. Fuck all this shit.
Yeah, I didn't make a very good employee. I mean, I was good at what I did. I was real good. I developed a name to being one of the best field engineers in the industry, and so that kept me going. You know, but I was the guy that showed up. You know, I wasn't going to come in an hour early to drink coffee with the superintendent and talk about how rough my weekend was. I'd show up and do my job, and then I'd get on down the road. And because I just had a problem with, you know, I don't know what the word is I'm looking for. I guess it's working for somebody else. I don't like being nobody's bitch. I mean, excuse me. I don't know what to say. I mean, that's just the way I am, and so I'd rather struggle and create my own than the alternative.
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, I was a good employee as long as you left me the fuck alone, and that's basically what I told anybody I worked for. I worked for AT&T for 8 years.
Yeah.
I ended up managing stores, and they sent me to all the stores that nobody wanted to work in, so that way I could just work, and they would let me rebuild the fucking store, and then I would move to a different one, and it sucked ass, and it was horrible, and finally I got sick of it. I was like, I'm doing your job for you. Fuck that. Couldn't get a promotion. You know, I was like, this is bullshit. Fuck off. I watched there was that with the final straw for me with them was there was a guy because we weren't AT&T corporate. It was you know, like the franchise thing. I went through 4 acquisitions. I went through all this crazy shit, you know. And in 2 of those acquisitions, the first one, there was a guy fired for inappropriate activity with his employees and you know, some discrepancies with how he ran the store and that kind of thing. You know, he's a district manager or whatever. And then 2 acquisitions later, they brought him back. But this had been over a period of 6 months. So they were bought and sold in 6 months. And that second acquisition, they brought him back.
Yeah.
And by that second acquisition, you know, that was the second time I had applied for his job, and they were like, yeah, we ended up bringing him back. And I'm like, what?
You must have some friends in the right spot.
Yeah, he did. And after that, I was like, no, I'm done. I'm not gonna you know, work my ass off for people who are no. If you're not based off of a merit system, you can fuck off. So then I became an insurance agent, and I was allowed to do what I did for the insurance agency I worked for, and that was cool until I realized, like, you know, the guy was awesome, but for some reason my money never grew. But I wrote really consistent business with a low loss rate. If you were in restoration, you know a little bit about insurance. It's all and honestly, any business, it's all about gaining new clients. And I certainly outpaced what I lost. Customer service is important in that, you know, especially in an ongoing relationship. You know, my money never grew. You know, so you keep when you have the mind frame of an entrepreneur, because for 10 years, you know, I was a drug dealer, a musician, and then I sold magazines. But as a magazine agent, I was an independent contractor. I had complete freedom to really do what I want, which would have been stupid because I didn't understand the way the business worked for a pretty long time.
Yeah.
Once I did, I got the right to own my own company, hire my own people, you know what I mean, do all that kind of stuff. To go from that and try and do that for somebody else, like, it just, I couldn't take it after a while, man. I'm with you. You can't, the freedom is worth the risk.
It really is, you know, and you know, right now this difficult times for a lot of business owners, you know, with this virus thing, and your retail and your food industries have really struggled, and it's sad to see that because, you know, you work hard to try to build up a, you know, sales funnel, client base, all that jazz, and then something like this blindsides you, which is unfortunate. But you know, it's one of those things that is part of the journey. Some businesses won't survive, and you know, but I guarantee you, most of those that don't survive, they'll be doing something else in the future. You know, because most people that are self-employed or have that entrepreneur type mindset, they'll do something else down the road. You know, what I do right now, my company is good. I mean, I like where we're at. Sometimes it gets it's a little too much. We're busting at the seams, and it's just, you know, it's just like, you know, what, you know, it's too much. I need to hire some help, but I'm not sure. I mean, like right at the tipping point. So I've been working a lot, but down the road, I mean, I don't know if I'll still be doing this. I mean, I may sell out, you know, and I don't know, take it up, whatever, man. I mean, business is selling a service or a product, man. So, you know, pick your poison. You
Yeah,
know, you
pretty
can do
much.
something else. It's the same thing. It's just whatever it may be. It's all very similar. That's what I'm trying to say.
No, yeah, I get it. And I mean, even with what I do, you know, I got to the point to where I was because I realized that, you know, I cared about the money too much. You know, that was a lot of the issue with myself, like as far as my, you know, my stress level. Cause I mean, I was stressed the fuck out all the time because
Yeah.
you're just constantly chasing that dollar and you know, and so I was like, that was a part of my whole, man, it took like 2 years to get to this point, you know?
Yeah.
And even it's just, it's crazy how that journey goes for people whenever they walk away from that comfort. Like it's hard, you know, not a lot of people are willing to admit how actually hard it was. I lost sleep. I was having heart problems,
Yeah.
like, because I didn't know what to do, dude. You feel lost.
That's right.
If you have an independent brain that refuses to think like other people and you try it, you're just going to end up lost, and it sucks. It's so painful. uh
Yeah, man. It's it's tough. It's scary. You know, I mean, I've seen times when I didn't know how I was going to make it. I mean, every dime that I had, that I personally have or had, has been tied up in the business. You know, I had to loan the company money to make it through the month. And right now, my company owes me a lot of money, and one day I'll get it back. You know, so that's the way I look at it. You know, I just continue to believe in what I'm doing. It's scary when there's no business coming in and you don't, and you're out of money, because I've been there too. And I was literally, I'll never forget one time. I was 2000, maybe 11 or 12, something like that. I just really was slow. I was in that franchise. I kept having to loan the damn thing money, and I was out. I didn't have any more, you know, and it wasn't like I was killing it beforehand. So I was just really had no capital. And so I actually went back, talked to my old employer about getting a damn job. I was like, you know, they were ready to hire me. They wanted me to go to Nashville to build a high rise. It was some condos. And I met with them for lunch and all that. And it was all good to see them and catch up and all that jazz. But I just couldn't commit. I said, man, if I do this, I'm going to hate myself forever. You know, so I just told them no. And then I came up with something else to make money temporarily. That was kind of around what I do. I just happened to fall into something else. Kept me self-employed for a minute, and then I added that the service kind of to my business, and I developed a name for that, and which is actually what's called air quality testing, mold testing, things like that.
yeah.
It's a good little niche if you can get into it. You spend a lot of money on advertising, obviously, but because of that, I developed a name that I have a big giant general contractor. They build a lot of big work. They don't know it, but I used to work for them years ago. And I have a contract to do another bill. I've already done one. It's like doing monthly moisture, air quality inspections, things like that as the building's being constructed. And then you do a final inspection before they turn it over to the owner. It's a common thing with a lot of big work. They want something like that to, you know, before they turn it over to the owner.
Well, yeah, you don't want to have a building that at the very core of it has a bunch of moisture that's trapped from the construction process, because I mean, there's parts of even a small little house that just get completely sealed off. You leave some moisture in there, it gets warm and humid, and
Yeah.
stuff starts to grow. It don't stop. And that's not good.
This company, they had hired me before a couple years ago to do a building, and it was a $20,000+ contract. And then I got another. They just sent me a letter the other day. They want me to do another one out in Athens, Georgia, for at UGA. So I'm going to send them another proposal for that one. So I mean, so it's paid off. I mean, I got into it in a pinch. I mean, seriously, I was out of money, out of options, and I stumbled across it by looking at some Craigslist ads or something or some crap that was so random how I came across this. And I mean, I did it for a long time. I mean, I developed a name for it, and people still kind of associate who I am with air quality stuff. And there again, the contractor, and then I could market that to other big contractors. I haven't had time, but I need to because it's easy to do, and it's a one-man thing. It doesn't require a lot of equipment. There's some,
Right.
but there's not a lot of cost involved. It's really just your time. So yeah, man. So I've added that to my list, man. So I've went and got certifications and made videos and whatever to try to sell that service. I don't chase it much, but it comes to me now. I don't have to look for it. So, you just never know, man. But I've been there where things have, so dark and grim. You're not sleeping. You're stressed out, and you just trying to figure out how you're going to make it. But there's a saying that somebody said somewhere, I don't know, but I have to remind myself of this sometimes. You got to remember, you are exactly where you want to be right now. So there's nobody to blame but yourself for where you're at. But if you're not happy where you're at right now, it's because you made the choices that led to where you're at right now. So you need to do something different. And that's just the way it is. And as entrepreneurs, it's hard to sometimes do that. You start getting the whole, I'm going to blame everybody else to why I'm not making sales, why I'm not doing this, and why I don't have any money in my account. It's because you need to do something different. It's all about how you approach it personally.
Yeah, man. I mean, you look at any of the people who have ever, ever actually done something with themselves, for the most part, they've been nowhere, absolutely nowhere. And I mean, granted, it's a very small portion of the population, but you look at, just hip hop in and of itself, or country music in and of itself, both of those encompass both sides of a spectrum, right?
Right.
That nobody ever wants to seem to correlate whenever it comes to this. But in general, they come from poor fucking places, man. Poor fucking places. Well, think about it. Biggie used to sell crack, on the streets in front of, in New York, man. Like he raps about it. But at the same time, you got guys like Brad Paisley. I believe he's from West Virginia. You can't be from West Virginia and have money. There's not a fucking one of us who do, unless you're a politician and you stole that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or one of the coal guys, I guess. But that's still like 7 people out of the whole freaking state. You got Loretta Lynn, who's somebody from West Virginia. She's a super famous country artist. She was the child of a coal miner. They lived in coal mining homes. Coal miners are the last real civil war in America. West Virginia coal miners. We had to fight the coal companies like with guns for 10 years and still lost. It's crazy, man. Just some of those stories, but those people came from that and ended up making something beautiful because they weren't told that they couldn't. And if someone did tell them they couldn't, they were like, well, I don't really have any other fucking choice, do I? What other choice do I have? Keep sleeping here on the fucking street? I mean, I've been through the highs and the lows multiple times. I've been rich, I've been poor. Being rich is a lot more fun. Money may not buy happiness, but at least you can go to the beach.
Yeah, it makes things a little easier.
Yeah, it certainly does. It's a tool. It's a tool, just like most of the rest of life. And that's it's one of the reasons why I don't just talk to entertainers, although you also are an actor and musician. We don't just spend time talking to the people who make us laugh and entertain us and make us happy or whatever, because we're all different kinds of people. We're all making our own way. And it's important, I think, for people to see that multiple different kinds of people, can not only make it, but still talk to each other being from different environments. Hell, there's my all-time favorite guest, I'm not gonna lie, that we've ever had, simply just because of how this man lives his life. He's this French guy who's like a financial analyst for people, who lives in a van in Paris with some birds, and that's what he wants to do. He just kicks it, him and 3 birds.
Hey,
He's got a
man.
sailboat he lives on sometimes.
The birds,
Like,
do they talk? Are they like parrots or something? Is that what they're
yeah,
birds?
yeah, yeah. I mean, they're nice, like super expensive birds. He's not living with like pigeons or nothing. He's got like a macaw,
Got some crows up in there.
uh, man, I'd be cool with living with some crows, man. Those badass little birds, man. They're super smart,
Very, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, no, I mean, I think he has like a macaw, an African gray, something like that. You know what I mean? He's got a couple really, really nice birds, but I mean, the dude he's like, why am I going to make all this money and sink it on all of this shit that doesn't make me happy when I really just want to travel? That's all I want to do.
Yeah, man. I met a guy like that in New Orleans one time when I was down there working, actually, and I was staying at it was a hurricane that came through, and I was near that Lake Pontchartrain, and I was in a camper. I don't know place I could get a room. We had a small trailer at a campground, a big campground on that lake. So we were staying there. They had a pool. It was a nice place. You wouldn't think it was as nice as it was. Anyways, this dude shows up with his wife or whatever, and got to talking to him. A young guy. He had sailed. He came in on a sailboat, and we got to talking about the pool, just chilling, and yeah, he decided, man, he's like, I just like I just want to sell. So he literally just came from like up near Maine. He sailed all the way down the coast, came into the Gulf, and came up into New Orleans into that place. Evidently, that's where he likes to come. I don't know why, but I was like, man, I don't know how you do that, man. And then I said, it'd be kind of cool to do that, man. What you're doing. He just looked at me real serious, and he said, well, why don't you? I was like, that's a good damn question. What the, I mean? So he's one of them guys that just said, you know what, I'm going to do this, man. And, I don't know what story, maybe he came for money. I don't know. I mean, boats are not cheap, but I mean, whatever he did, he got a boat and he sells, man. He just travels, the world. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's kind of what it boils down to. I mean, it's all about how you view the opportunity. What ultimately pushed me over the edge, for the example, because it's better to talk about your personal experience, I guess, because it's yours. You actually know what happened, I guess.
Yeah.
But for me, it was 2 guys, man, to be completely honest with you, that I've never even met in my life, and I've just listened to talk for hours, for years. Joe Rogan and Joey Diaz.
Yeah.
And, both of them, I don't know how many times I've heard them say, just why aren't you doing it? Why don't you do it? If you want to do it, just fucking do it. Just fucking do it.
Yeah.
Just fucking do it. And you can only, hear that so many times wanting to do something before you're just like, why? You run out of excuses, because no matter how hard you try, anytime you're like, what catches people, is they'll be like, man, I've got this great idea. And the more they think about that great idea, the more they find reasons why it's not gonna work.
Yeah.
And it's kind of how a lot of how most people are raised,
Well, we've all been taught to, you need to go to college, get a degree, and then they train you to get a good job. And, you buy a little house and you raise your kids and you eventually die. I mean, that's what we're supposed to do. When you start creating businesses and all that stuff, I mean, it's kind of part of the journey, but it's hard, and it's easy to sit back and say, well, I want to do this. Okay, that sounds good. But then it's actually putting one foot in front of the other in spite of when things just almost seem impossible to do. You're like, there's a lot of resistance. It becomes difficult. And that's what really separates, the men from the boys, so to speak, the ones that continue to find a way to do what they're set out to do. And they see they stay focused on the result, the goal where they're trying to get to, and forget about all this bullshit that's in the way. It can get heavy, and sometimes you feel like giving up. but it's those that overcome it. And that's what I think Joe Rogan and some of these other guys, they talk about stuff like that. There's a guy that comes on, I'm sure you've heard of him, David Goggins. I like to listen to
Oh,
him.
fuck yeah. I read his book.
Oh, dude, yeah. He's
I
amazing.
would,
But he has a passion for pain, and that's okay. But if you take his mindset and apply it to other stuff in your life, I wouldn't say let's go out and let's go run 100 miles with no training. That's just crazy. But his mindset to overcome the impossible is applicable to a lot of things in everybody's life.
oh
So
yeah.
I like to listen to him.
Yeah. Well, man, it's funny you bring up David Goggins because, I mean, he was a part of that whole 2-year experience. He occurred at the very end of it. Because I'm one of those people, man, I knew that if I read that book, it was going to create a problem. Not like, something bad necessarily, but, I've got kids, I've got a family. There are responsibilities that I have that aren't related to my business and my future. And I have a regular job that I have to go to. That's how I feed people, and I knew, man, just from hearing Goggins on podcasts and stuff, I'm like, man, if I listen to this fucking book, it's just, I'm not going to be able to turn it off. Like, it's not going to happen. Like, I can't, because I've got an addictive personality. I'm a fucking drug addict.
Yeah.
So I know, if I turn on certain things, it's going to be really hard to turn that off.
Yeah.
And my wife was like, because I talked to her about it before I really made the end, she's like, you're not going to be able to just keep this as a hobby. And I'm like, no, probably not. But I promise you, like, the promise I ended up making her is like, I promise you I'm not going to do this as a job until I have no choice but to do it as a job.
Yeah. Wow.
And she was like, I can live with that. And, for a while it was an adjustment for everybody because I don't even have to try. I'm constantly busy.
Mm-hmm.
It just happens. I mean, this week I'm probably getting 10 hours of recording in for the podcast, because, we record in advance. We want to make sure that we've got material to give people no matter what happens.
That's right.
You know what I mean? That's what we're doing this for. Nobody makes billions of dollars off their podcast except for Joe Rogan. Most of us barely scrape through with this stuff. But that's the beauty of it. You don't need much to do it. You can create things that people can listen to and enjoy. And that's just a part of doing it. Like one of the sayings that a lot of people say, you said, and it's something that a lot of entrepreneurs don't talk about that I've noticed, like the reasons why there's all these things, like one foot in front of the other, or, one step at a time, focus on the goal, like those little drop phrases that we always use.
That's right.
People don't ever talk about like the reason behind it. And one of the things I was alluding to before, about how people start thinking about what they want to do and then they freak out and they come up with all these reasons not to, is because they're not approaching it from the same perspective they approach other things. Like, you don't learn Spanish in one day. You take steps.
Yeah.
And one of the things that where most people mess up, I've messed up, is you get focused on everything that you have to do to reach the goal and not what you can do today to reach that goal.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's part of the journey. It's like people that sit around and talk about what they would do if they won the lottery. What would they do with their money? It's kind of the same mindset as you're dreaming. Forget that. If you want to be a millionaire, let's figure out, how can you reach 1 million people, number one, and then make the steps to do that. You know what I'm saying? So whatever that may be, it's and that's when it gets tough. It gets hard. It just gets scary because it's so much easier to go check in at a time clock at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning and leave by 4 and forget about the shit for the rest of the day. I've been there, and so I know what it's like. And you think you have security, but there's also a sense of easiness to it. I mean, get up, go to work. That's great. But when you're not dependent on an employer, to provide that, you have to make yourself do that. So that's another challenge that entrepreneurs have. There's some people that, that they're not good at self-motivating, and especially if something gets tough, you've got to motivate yourself, preferably before things get real hard, because then it gets overwhelming. I've been there too. Like when I was ready to go back to a job, when I was out of money, I shouldn't have dilly-dallied so long. I should have done something before I ever even got to that point. I should have found that opportunity before I got there, but I didn't. It wasn't until I was pressed in a corner that I was like, damn, I got to do something. So there's nothing wrong with that, but it's better to prepare for that before it becomes a life and death situation, so to speak.
Yeah.
And that's with anything. I mean, it's the same thing with, whatever, man. I mean, if you're a comedian, an actor, those guys are all self-employed. It's a business. The product is yourself. Podcast, same thing. Your guests help out, but it seems like a lot of podcasts that are successful, they seem to have a niche. Where they cater to one, like this. Like Joe Rogan seems to have gone off on this. I mean, he has a lot of different people. Don't get me wrong, but I've watched other people interview, and then they're podcasters too, and I'll go watch their stuff. And I discover different channels that are excellent.
Okay.
But he seems to have a lot of these guys that are just, entrepreneurs on his show that are just kind of success. Maybe not super successful, maybe some are, but they have a lot of good things to give back to humanity, to learn from and apply. Or, most people apply it if you try. So, I mean, it's just being self-employed is not just, let's go create a waterproofing company like me. It's just, as I am an actor too, and I have the same approach as an actor as I do with my company. I try to sell myself. I am the product. But I'll say this: that industry, acting, music, especially, man, it's tough. That is a passion. It is. You've got to love it, because you're going to get let down so many times. It's hard to really control that sales funnel, because you're dealing with artistic flavors. A casting director may not like me for whatever reason. They don't see me the way that I think I could perform that character, the way I do it. They think it needs to be this other dude, and for whatever reason, and you can't control that. And same with music. Brad Paisley, I mean, he's a damn good guitarist, man, but some people might think he sucks. Kenny Chesney, I happen to like his songs. I think he's a great songwriter, but a lot of people don't like Kenny Chesney. It's all about, it's an artistic flavor. I mean, it's just what I like. So as an actor, that's something that's tough to deal with in the entertainment industry, because, you're getting told no. You've worked your ass off and you still get told no. You get told no a million times before you get a maybe, and then you get a maybe, you might get a yes. So you have to really loosen the grip on the goal, because the goal of an actor or the goal of a musician really should not be, I want to make millions of dollars and be famous and have, blonde-headed chicks surrounding me while we're snorting cocaine off the end of a guitar. Nothing like that. It should be, I just want to make somebody feel something with what I'm performing. That's all I want to do. And if you have that mindset, then your expectation will never be let down. And that's, as an actor, I think that's something I had to learn early on. Not that I was looking to snort cocaine off a guitar. I just, trying to become a working actor, meaning you work all the time and you get paid to do it, is tough. It is very tough. That's why a lot of actors wind up just creating their own content that they star in. It's easy.
Yeah, and I mean that's kind of where the industry is going in general. Anyway, I mean, us comedians, that's what we're doing. We had mostly already taken control over our careers, but once we realized, and obviously I'm not a big comedian who's known all over the world like Joe Coy or Rogan or Russell Peters, Tom Segura, any of those guys, but I'm grateful for what they're doing, because they've all decided that, we are just going to do our own shit, because, we're not like the rest of the entertainment industry, we're closer to musicians, I think, than actors, and which would surprise most people. that we feel that way. But it's, you guys need the studio, you need the script, there's a large, even if it's musical theater, or some shit that you're doing in a park on a stage, there's a lot of production that goes into that. Whereas a comedian can literally just,
That's it.
open up, drop the bed of their truck down, get a PA system out and a microphone and be like, y'all want to hear some funny shit? And that's all we, I mean, hell, Burt Kreischer's doing it right now. He's
Yeah,
like, well, I can't tour in theaters or clubs, so I'm fucking, what else is there? There's fucking movie theaters, and they're all wired for everybody to be socially. The man is fucking brilliant, you know?
awesome.
There's a lot of comedians who have even said fuck Netflix
Yeah.
and are releasing literally their own specials
Yeah.
on their own websites, and that's the only place that you can get it for a month.
Yeah.
Louis C.K. just made a shitload of money doing that, and he was supposedly canceled for jacking off in front of people, but once people realize that's not the worst sexual crime that you can commit on somebody, I think they kind of forgot about Louis,
He's just kind of,
except on the most like fringes of the conversation,
yeah.
Once a whole island came into play with little kids, they were like, all right, I guess that's not that bad. I mean, he at least asked, and they were of age. But it is all the same thing. You're always selling yourself. And that was something I was taught really early in sales. Legitimate sales, not drug sales. Because drug sales are easy. People come to you because they're sick in the head, and you're sick in the head. And
For quality and always have a product, I mean, so there's a sense of responsibility as a drug dealer.
yes, somewhat, but most of them don't really feel that sense.
Yeah, I got you.
But I mean, with what we sold magazines, overpriced magazines for an extreme profit, based off of a nationwide contest to go to Europe. Like, the company I worked for was 100% legitimate. I've won the contest. I cashed in the trip.
Cool.
Yeah, man. I mean, there were plenty of companies who weren't. That was one of the things that we had to work against.
Yeah.
But we weren't selling the fucking magazines. We were told specifically to sell yourself. Be you. Have fun. Make people laugh. You know what I mean? And I had been a DJ for a long time before that, so I knew how to entertain people. And I was like, I just got to bullshit people and have a good time.
Yeah.
That's where comedy started for me. I fucked up by trying to be a normal person and going against, I don't know, man. I think maybe I was tired, worn down. I don't know why I did it. I still can't figure it out. But I was like, I just have to be a normal person. It just doesn't fucking work.
Yeah.
And I guess the biggest thing that people really need to take from this great interview that we've had is just fucking be yourself at the end of the day. Be yourself. I mean, you're the only person who's ever going to make you happy.
That's right.
Even if that's just the decisions that you make of the people that you surround yourself with. Ultimately, man, you know, it may hurt, but you got to take stock in your own life.
That's right.
And I mean, even if you're an independent person like me, for example, who ends up working for somebody else for a regular job, sometimes it's the ends to the means that you're using to get to your goal aren't going to be traditional. I mean, how many entrepreneurs are like, I actually need to get a job where I work at night and get left alone so I can have 12 hours a day to just think. And that's what I do, man. 12 hours, 5 days 1 week, 2 days the next. I'm making plastic car parts, got headphones in, listening to podcasts, just thinking about what am I going to do? How am I going to build this? What am I going to do to make this better? How am I going to make this better? I'm writing material, and there's no one at 2:00 in the morning who's going to fucking bother me. And if I need to go perform, I just take the day off.
Yeah, cool, man.
Yeah, it's not, you know what I mean? So it's, there are so many means to the ends that people want, and I've seen it happen too much with this pandemic that should have been a blessing to a lot of people. Just wasted it, man. Just fucking wasted it.
Yeah, man. Well, speaking of that, not so much the pandemic, but blessings, that is. The one thing I'd like to say, when you're trying to figure out how you're going to get on with your dream or your entrepreneurship, or not having to depend on somebody to employ you. You know, it's very painful, tough, you know, but also something I have found that's helped me stay grounded is, you know, try to forget about what my end goal is. I have a different goal set. It's not just making money. I have a goal to create a company to leave to my kids when I'm pushing grass out of the ground. That's my goal. You know, so that may change, you know, with time. I don't know, but along the way, I don't think about we got to just get out there and make as much money as we can. Each customer or person I deal with, I try to think, how can I help them? You know, I try to, how can I make their life better? Whatever that is. I mean, something simple. It could be something just minute, but I'll look for the opportunity and I always try to take it when it presents itself. And if that's, you know, changing my service, whatever I'm there to do, if I have to, you know, maybe they can't afford it, you know, maybe, you know, there's somebody's going through something tough at the time. They just need to hear some kind words. I mean, I don't know, man, just whatever. There's no script to it. You just kind of you look for it and you do it. And I find that it makes me a better person at the end of the day. And it helps give me satisfaction for what I'm doing. Even if I'm not making millions of dollars, you know, I'm still benefiting, you know, and I think just entrepreneurs, actors, whatever, business owners, anybody, you know, employees. I mean, it's a good thing to do. It just helps the journey of life sometimes from becoming so heavy. I don't speak for everybody, but for myself, it can get a little weighted. So those kind of things, they bring me, you know, happiness. I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Oh man, and I think that's a beautiful place to end it, because that's kind of what people should be running for, you know, just find that end goal, you know. And mine's pretty similar, brother. I mean, that 2-year process, there were so many things that happened that helped me stay focused on what I was really trying to do. And you know, you bring up something to leave your kids. You know, Jay-Z came out with an album, 444, and the entire thing was about, you know, all the mistakes he had made up to that point, and forgetting about the fact that, you know, he's going to be gone, and he's got this family. What has he really done for them? You know, he hasn't taught them any of the important things that, you know, you really need. Like, one of the examples he uses is back in the day, whenever he was young and rich and buying all this gold and crap. He was like, man, I could have bought buildings in parts of Manhattan for dirt cheap that are now worth millions of dollars. You
Yeah.
know, so I mean, it's like, you know, you never know what's going to happen. You never know what the journey's going to be. But as long as you spend your time trying to enrich the people around you, even if it's just your family, you know, and not be a douche, basically, it's not too bad, you know. So where can people find you, brother? I mean, it sounds like you've got a lot of good stuff going. You know, you got some music, some acting, so hopefully you get to do some of that before the end of the world.
Well, we did a project not too long ago, actually, the first time since the COVID hit, and it was kind of weird. We did a lot of our table reads and things like that using Zoom, which was quite a
Weird.
hit, having a lot of people involved, but we got through it. But we did shoot some stuff actually, so that was nice. Uh, Acting's been slow. I mean, it is, and unfortunate. People that made a living doing productions and commercials and stuff like that is really taking a huge hit. I know a lot of people personally that have been going through some tough times because of it. So I'll be so glad, and everybody else that once they get this thing under grips and get some medication out there that takes the fear away, and people can get back to functioning as a regular society. That we got to get that. That's got to happen, you know. So, but anyways, answer your question. People can find me. You can find me as an actor, Eric James Morris. My full name is on IMDb. It's an international movie database. Go look me up. You'll see what I've done that I was credited for, and some other things. You know, I do a lot of local commercials. Some people see me. You know, I'll get a message every now and then. Hey, I saw you on the Georgia patio commercial or whatever. So if you're in Georgia, look for me late at night or early in the morning. And then Facebook, that's where I'm most active, is just Eric Morris and the number 2. That's my personal page. Of course, I have a professional page called Eric James Morris, but it's just I don't spend a lot of time there. In my company, check me out, morrisenviro.com. That's my business. Let's hope you don't need our services, but if you do, give me a call.
Oh, all righty, brother. Well, I appreciate you coming on, man.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. It's good talking to you.
Yeah, it was nice to talk to you.